Charlotte 500. Today's showdown is this year's NASCAR headline as Darrell "Jaws" Waltrip and the leader of the Alabama gang, Bobby Allison, continue their high-speed duel for the national championship. And then it's south and... The Sports World Racing Team is back at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Charlotte 500 for Grand National Stock Cars. Hi, I'm Paul Page, and the race today should be extraordinary. We have 22 new car combinations today, and that has track officials worried just a bit about what will happen in the early laps. On the pole is Darrell Waltrip, who has an incredible record this year. In the last 10 races, he has finished third once, second 4 times, and won 5 of the last 10 races. He is on the pole for this Charlotte 500. On the other hand, he has never won the Charlotte 500, and his closest rival in the Grand National Championship this year is Bobby Allison, a 3-time winner of this race. Of course, it's not only the race on the track, but the one that will be run during the pit stops that will become very important today. And to cover that action is Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Paul, a tremendous field, of course. They say it's the tightest in the 21-year history of this event. Only 1 second separates 41 drivers. And up here in the front row, Darrell Waltrip, that tremendous hot streak you were talking about. And Darrell, just a year ago, we were standing here, and you were wondering what the future was going to hold in 1981. Did you have any inkling at that time that you would have such a tremendous run of success?
Well, it's quite a turnaround from this time last year. Here I am on the pole and won 10 races, and it's been the best year I've ever had in my career, and it looked like it could have been one of the darkest or one of the worst. So I'm just so elated to be where I am and so glad that that's all history, and the future really looks bright for me.
You got a tough customer right alongside here for the early stages of this 500 miles.
Don't look back, but there's about 38 others behind us.
Let's get a quick word down here with Harry Gant. He's standing alongside, and Harry, this has been one of those seasons, of course. They talk about the second-place finishes. 6 times you've been second in the battle for the pole. Is this the day it's all going to turn around?
Well, we'd like for it to be, you know, but we've had the same hopes on races all year, and so we still run second. But we still, you know, got the same hopes today, and we're looking forward to it. We hope this will be it.
I would imagine that with the bonus money that's on the line, some of which you've already earned as one of the young lions here today, there's going to be quite a battle up front to see who leads the most laps in this race as well as who leads the last lap.
Well, I don't really know, you know, the rest of the people's thoughts, but to me, winning the race is most important. You know, I really don't think too much about the lap money, you know, about trying to charge for it and all. If you're going to win the race, you usually lead the most laps anyway, so you'll get it out.
We're looking forward to a heck of a battle. Thank you very much. That's the front row down here. Paul, let's check the rest of the starting field.
Well, Gary, Darrell Waltrip said it. There are 41 fast Grand National stock cars here. In fact, from the pole position to the 41st position, only 82 100ths of a second separate this field. But there's also a question about the pole position car of Darrell Waltrip. When they fired the engine this morning, there might have been a problem, and that brought about an engine change. Gary?
Well, it was purely a routine check, and when they fired the engine, they found that they had a cracked block. So the crew had to go to work immediately. They changed motors. This is an untested motor that is now on the Waltrip car, so there is a certain amount of apprehension in the Junior Johnson pit as this car leaves the track, or leaves pit road, and moves on to this 1.5-mile oval.
It's a cool autumn day here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, just perfect for racing. So let's take a look at the lineup for the Charlotte 500. On the pole, Darrell Waltrip, the green and white, car number 11, the Junior Johnson Buick. On the outside of the front row, car number 33, Hal Needham's Pontiac, driven by Harry Gant. The second row, and 5 men have won from this position, now occupied by number 27 of Cale Yarborough. On the outside of the second row, car number 1, the Hoss-Ellington Buick of Buddy Baker. The third row, the rookie, one of the young lions here, Tim Richmond, in the red and white number 37. The outside of row 3, number 44, J.D. Stacy's Buick, driven by Terry Labonte. On the inside of the fourth row, at car number 21, Neil Bonnet in the Wood Brothers Ford. On the outside of row 4, the green and white, number 88, the Dygard Chevrolet of Ricky Rudd. The fifth row on the inside, the winningest driver in all of Grand National Racing, number 43, Richard Petty. The outside of the fifth row in car number 2, Joe Ruttman, the 1980 USAC stock car champ in the J.D. Stacy Buick. In the rest of the field, there are 4 former winners. They include Benny Parsons, Dale Earnhardt, Charlie Gottsack, and of course the only three-time winner, Bobby Allison, who is fighting with our pole sitter, Darrell Waltrip, for the Grand National Championship. And of course, a great deal of concern about the engine in car number 11, Darrell Waltrip's car. They changed it just before the start of the race today. In the second row, car 27, Cale Yarborough, has led the most laps here, 744. Two young lions, a new wave of drivers, Labonte and Tim Richmond in the third row. Gary?
Paul, there's a special incentive program for drivers designated as young lions for this race in Charlotte. Drivers with limited experience in Grand National racing. The highest finisher in that group today gets a $10,000 bonus. Harry Gant has already won $5,000 as the fastest qualifier from that group.
41 Grand National stock cars in preparation now to take the green flag. 500 miles of racing on the Charlotte Super Speedway. And Bobby Allison in car number 28 will be in a battle not only to try and win this race, but also to try and put points on the scoreboard in his battle with Darrell Waltrip for the national championship. The pace car down onto pit road now as they move toward the green flag. Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant lead the line down. Green flag in the hands of the starter. Ever so slowly down as they pick up speed. The green flag is out, and we are racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's Harry Gant that moves just a bit ahead of Darrell Waltrip, and Waltrip pulls on to power. Cale Yarborough right behind Waltrip. They're safely through the first turn, heading through the high banks of the second turn. A 1.5-mile speedway here at Charlotte as Harry Gant forges ahead, and Cale Yarborough down on the inside moves past Waltrip. It is Yarborough, Gant, and Waltrip, 1, 2, 3, as they come into the fourth turn. The completion of lap number 1. Cale Yarborough out in front. Waltrip dropping behind just a bit, and Gant on the high side. Here comes Yarborough across the line. Waltrip in second, Gant in third, and Buddy Baker sitting in fourth. Cale Yarborough continues his domination. He picked up the lead in the second turn. He now pulls a bit away ahead of Waltrip. Waltrip in second place. Gant sitting back in third, and then quite a fight developing in fourth place. The 27 car of Yarborough leading Waltrip now. Waltrip closing up onto his tail just a bit. Waltrip appearing in this early going to be able to handle just a little bit better. But it is the power in the Cale Yarborough machine that is pulling the lead out on the straightaways. Here comes Yarborough once again. Harry Gant making a bid on the inside as Gant pushes past Waltrip. Gant now in second place. Waltrip up high on the racetrack. Cale Yarborough out in front. Gant now making a challenge on the inside. And Neil Bonnet, who started back in the fourth row, has managed to push his car now into third place, and it's Neil Bonnet in number 21 that is making a challenge for second. He's down inside Cale Yarborough. Darrell Waltrip has moved back just a bit, and Richard Petty has come up to the front to join the fight. So the challenge being made by Neil Bonnet in car number 21. The rest of the field beginning to spring out just a bit. And Harry Gant, something wrong with Gant's car. Gant's in trouble. He loses it up to the fence. Harry Gant sliding. He just barely taps the fence. Tim Richmond has to drive to avoid him. Harry Gant, who had just picked up the lead, slides to the inside of the race course. Amazingly, no one tapped that car. Gant got the car up against the fence. It looked like he blew the engine, and that started the slide. He got the right rear of the car into the fence. And Neil Bonnet in number 21 races Darrell Waltrip to the line, so Gant's bad luck becomes good luck for Neil Bonnet as he picks up the lead with Darrell Waltrip in second place. But Harry Gant, who is still trying to win his first Grand National race, has run into bad luck once again. 7 times this season, Harry Gant has finished in second place. Today, he will be scored in 41st position. The yellow flag is out at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we'll be back with more of the Charlotte 500 right after this. We're back to green flag racing at the Charlotte 500, and car 21 on the left of your screen, Neil Bonnet, has managed to pull out quite a lead. Now, Bonnet's car was the fastest car on the first day of practice here, and they certainly have it dialed in now, as Neil Bonnet is all alone out in front. Buddy Baker is in second place, and Darrell Waltrip has now dropped back to third place. But right now, it's the machine of Neil Bonnet, number 21, the Wood Brothers Ford that is running so well here today. And if he continues with this kind of charge, he's going to leave the rest of the field behind. As Neil Bonnet brings it off in the second turn and down that back straightaway. This car is certainly capable, so is Neil Bonnet. 3 times in his career, he sat on the pole Speedway. There's the second place car of Buddy Baker. And now Darrell Waltrip pulls up alongside and makes a challenge. And Darrell Waltrip pushes his way past Buddy Baker. Joe Ruttman has moved up into fourth place. Neil Bonnet out in front as he comes off the fourth turn. There is Waltrip in second. Buddy Baker right behind and continuing to challenge. But it's Neil Bonnet in number 21 with a 2 1/2 second lead on the rest of the field. Once Bonnet was able to pull out in front, he pulled away quickly. Now Buddy Baker making a challenge once again for second place. That's Baker on the high side. Darrell Waltrip down on the low side. And Joe Ruttman knocking on the back door as Cale Yarborough fires up and pulls in alongside. It's Yarborough now moving past Ruttman, picking up fourth place and beginning to make a challenge on the battle that has developed for second place between Baker and Waltrip. It is Waltrip still in second, but both Yarborough and Baker want that second position, and they pull alongside. Now Yarborough down low. Waltrip pulls him off. Waltrip still in second place, but Yarborough trying. Baker had to drop back into fifth place, and Joe Ruttman just tacked onto the rear bumper of Yarborough's car and came right on through. Neil Bonnet, there is his lead, and the battle for second place now goes on between Cale Yarborough, who has picked up second from Waltrip, and Yarborough set side on the leader. So Neil Bonnet out in front, Yarborough is second, Waltrip in third place as they bring it to the line. So the battle continues in second place as Neil Bonnet has the racetrack all to himself. Clear sailing ahead for Neil Bonnet. But back in second place, it is Cale. We've got problems on the track. Dave Marcus has blown an engine. Marcus takes it down low. He doesn't want to spray too much oil down on the racetrack, trying to leave it clean for the cars that will follow behind. But some bad luck for Dave Marcus as number 71 pulls out of harm's way behind the barrier. The yellow flag, though, will come out. They'll have to look at the racetrack to see how much oil might have been sprayed onto the surface. Neil Bonnet races to the line in first place. We'll return to the Charlotte 500 later, but Bodine began a spin in the first turn. Waltrip chose the high side and was able to get around. Earlier, Bodine was also involved in a pit accident with Buddy Baker, putting Baker out of the race. And Darrell Waltrip continued his pursuit of these two men, the front runners, Richard Petty and Neil Bonnet. And Richard Petty beat Bonnet to the line, picking up first. So as a result, now we have Neil Bonnet heading down into the pit area for some fast service from the Wood Brothers crew. Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
All that mad scramble underway once again here in the pit area. All kinds of congestion as cars come flying in on the run with a yellow flag condition. The famed Wood Brothers crew in action. Fresh right side rubber for Neil Bonnet. Bonnet had been closing dramatically on leader Richard Petty. Now left side rubber also being administered to the Wood Brothers number 21. And Neil Bonnet, who has 2 victories in the last month of competition, trying to get up there to challenge Petty for the lead, is off the jack and back onto pit road. He's headed back on the 1.5-mile oval.
Well, Gary, Neil Bonnet leaves the pits and heads onto the race course in 6th place. Richard Petty is in 7th, now drops back to 8th as Terry Labonte goes around. Tim Richmond is our leader. Darrell Waltrip is in 2nd place. And as we continue under the yellow here, let's return to Mike Adamle in Honolulu. We're back with Gary Gerald. We're back at the Charlotte 500 under green flag racing, where once again the preparation of the Wood Brothers has proven their worth as Neil Bonnet in car number 21 has pulled out a lead. He is out in front of Darrell Waltrip, currently in 2nd, and Bobby Allison sitting back in 3rd place. But a tremendous lead now held by the number 21 car of Neil Bonnet. Neil Bonnet brings her around the 4th turn. Bonnet slowing under the green flag. Bonnet was scheduled at about this time for a routine pit stop. So Neil Bonnet, our leader, brings it down into the pits to call the stop. Let's go down to Gary Gerald. Gary?
Once again, the Wood Brothers, Paul, poised here on the wall. 5 men about to go into action as they go over the wall now. Fuel, of course, being added, and it'll be right side rubber on this stop for Neil Bonnet now, the man who has been a dominant factor all along thus far this afternoon.
And while Neil Bonnet makes a routine stop, Darrell Waltrip in number 11 picks up the lead. Waltrip leads. Bobby Allison now in 2nd place. But they're taking more time than anticipated on Neil Bonnet's car. As Waltrip leads, Bonnet still sits in the pits. Let's go down to Gary.
Oh, he is now out of the car. This is no longer a routine stop. Obviously, something definitely very, very wrong. The helmet has come off. We'll try to get a word immediately with Neil Bonnet to find out just what has happened, but it looks like he is definitely out of this competition.
Well, Neil Bonnet was the fastest car on this racetrack, and now he is parked in the pits as our leader, Darrell Waltrip, heads down pit road for some what should be routine service from the Junior Johnson crew. Waltrip locks it up, coming in for a stop. The crew goes to work on the car. They'll change right side rubber. Junior Johnson cleans the windscreen. As the Waltrip car sits there just ahead is the Neil Bonnet machine. It is in serious trouble with Bonnet out of the car. Waltrip on a routine stop. Right side rubber is changed, fuel on board, and off Waltrip goes as he comes out of his pit and streams past the disabled car of Neil Bonnet. So Darrell Waltrip back into the competition, but Neil Bonnet is out. Gary, can you find out from Neil what the problem was?
Neil, it looked like you were coming in for just a routine stop. What happened?
I had a pit stop coming up in one lap, and down the back straightaway, I either broke a rod or turned the rod bearing out of the motor. The motor just blew up coming down the back straightaway, and we had a gear in there today where I could just ride as hard as I wanted to, and I was hardly working the car. I couldn't believe how good it run, but you know, as good as that thing runs, the Hodgson Thunderbird, I'll take it no matter what happens.
Well, it's nice to still see a smile on your face. I know that's got to be a disappointment because it looked like you were really ready to dominate this day.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't be disappointed when the people give you that kind of race car. We'll win races with it.
All right, thank you, Neil. Yeah. Neil Bonnet won't be able to make it 3 super speedways in a row. He was trying to equal a record put together by David Pearson 5 years ago. He was the last driver to do it in the Wood Brothers car. That will not be the case here at Charlotte in 1981.
So Dale Earnhardt, who became our leader after Darrell Waltrip's pit stop, and who started in 24th place as the defending champion here, is in for routine service under the green flag. And the junior member of the Petty clan, Kyle Petty, at number 42, has picked up the lead. Darrell Waltrip in second, Tim Richmond in third, Bobby Allison in fourth. We'll return to NBC Sports World and the women's powerlifting right after this. We're under a long yellow with the Charlotte 500, caused by this accident when Gary Ballou, in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, hit first the outside, then the inside wall. Ballou was not seriously injured, but the barrier required lengthy repair. Our leader, Darrell Waltrip, hit it twice. He's now in third place, and Gary Gerald is in the pits with Junior Johnson.
Junior, the question at this point comes with this lengthy yellow now that you've topped off on fuel. Can you make it? Can you go the rest of the way?
Well, it's questionable, but I think we can go as far as anybody else, so we're full of gas, and we'll gamble if anybody else does. We just want to make sure that we can go as far as anybody can.
Everybody at this point in this pit, it looks like you're running real strong. There hasn't been any obvious problems. That untested motor is hanging in there pretty well.
Well, it's run good so far. We just hope it stays together the rest of the race, and we don't see any problem right now, no.
All right, Junior Johnson as we get set to go green once again here at Charlotte.
Fast cars on the high side, the slower cars down below as we come back to the green flag, and they're racing once again in the Charlotte 500. It's Tim Richmond out in front, Bobby Allison in second, and Darrell Waltrip in third. There's plenty more action here this afternoon at Charlotte, but we'll take this moment for today's Sports Journal. Gary Gerald. We're back under green flag racing at the Charlotte 500, where Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip have now moved around Tim Richmond to pick up the lead. And Allison and Waltrip are beginning a battle not only to win this race, but continuing the battle they have fought all season long for the national championship. In number 88, Ricky Rudd sits on the high side of the racetrack. He is one lap down, but has the potential of acting as a spoiler at the front of this race. Bobby Allison nails the pedal to the floor as they come off of the fourth turn. Bobby Allison picks the low side of the racetrack. Filling up his rearview mirror is Darrell Waltrip in second place. Ricky Rudd is on the high side. And Tim Richmond, with a very impressive showing here today, continues to stay with the leaders in third place. So the fight is not only for victory in the Charlotte 500, but these two men, Allison and Waltrip, have battled all season long for the national championship. And here they are, battling it out in front. Now remember that Ricky Rudd is one lap down, but still can have an effect just by nature of his position and being in with the front runners. Bobby Allison, our leader, as Darrell Waltrip pulls to the outside and puts a challenge on Allison. Allison, the only three-time winner And as Waltrip forges ahead, he is trying to win his first time at the Charlotte 500. And Tim Richmond in number 37 pushing his car hard as he battles with several cars several laps down. But out in front, it is still a battle between Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip, as Waltrip in number 11 on the high side continues his pressing challenge of Bobby Allison. Allison handling well down low now. Waltrip forges ahead, pouring the power on. It's just Waltrip by a nose. Bobby Allison very close by as they almost touch, coming through the first turn. Waltrip out in front, and now Waltrip leads the Charlotte 500. Darrell Waltrip, who started this race on the pole, now just by inches is ahead of Bobby Allison, a three-time winner here. Now Allison challenging again on the backstretch, and Allison pushes his way ahead, forcing Waltrip up to the high side. Allison's machine handling very well down low on the racetrack as he drifts up very close to Waltrip. Now coming to the line, it is Waltrip by a nose once again, so the lead changes back and forth. And with it, the battle for the national championship. Bobby Allison in number 28 out in front, but then Waltrip coming back on the turn, handling well high, letting his car slide, and Waltrip is in front. But here comes Allison once again. Bobby Allison moves in front, and Ricky Rudd in number 88 closes in, as Rudd and Ruttman are spectators to this high-speed duel being staged between Allison and Darrell Waltrip. As they come onto the main straightaway, they come into the view of the pits and Gary Gerald. Gary?
And of course, Paul, at this point, everything that could possibly be done has been done in the pits. It's left to wage right now on the racetrack. A battle between two veteran drivers. Bobby Allison, 64 career Grand National wins. Darrell Waltrip, who's had the sensational hot streak thus far this year, who has wrested the points lead away from Allison in recent weeks by virtue of that streak, now chasing Bobby Allison. Allison hoping to come from 17th place, far back as anybody has ever won in the National 500 here at Charlotte, while Waltrip seeks to become the first man in 7 years to win in this race from the pole position.
The reality is that Bobby Allison, currently the leader, and Darrell Waltrip in second place. Allison, in reality, has covered more distance. He started in 17th. Waltrip started on the pole. And now, Allison leading onto the backstretch. It's a drag race down the backstretch. And just by inches does Darrell Waltrip lead into the turn. But then handling once again takes over, and Waltrip, twisting that steering wheel back and forth and drifting his car around the fourth turn, is able to pull out a lead. Now Joe Ruttman moves in. He wants to try and unlap himself. He's dropped into Darrell Waltrip's trap. And Allison is forced back. Allison actually in second place. But Joe Ruttman is now between Allison and Darrell Waltrip. So Waltrip picks up an advantage of putting a lap car in between he and second place. We'll be back right after this. Page with Gary Gerald. We're back at the Charlotte 500 on the Super Speedway at Charlotte, North Carolina. And car number 11, the green and white machine of Darrell Waltrip, has now managed to pull out quite a lead over the second place car of Bobby Allison. Waltrip started on the pole here today, battled his way up to first. Bobby Allison, back now in second place, is his prime contender, not only for this race, but for the national championship. And sitting in third place is the 37 car of young Tim Richmond, one of the fine newer drivers in Grand National racing. And in fifth place, one lap down, the 55 car of Tommy Ellis, who has already wrapped up the late model sportsman championship. Now, we're going to take a look at the interval between first and second. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, we'll put the picture of Darrell Waltrip. And then, through the miracle of television electronics, we'll stop his car from its 170-mile-an-hour travel. And we'll watch the interval between Waltrip and Bobby Allison. Waltrip comes to the line in the upper right-hand corner and stops at the line. Here comes Allison, and Bobby Allison, 6 seconds behind Darrell Waltrip, and 6 seconds at 170 miles an hour down the straightaway is a long way to go to catch up with the number 11 car of Darrell Waltrip. So Waltrip out in front, and Bobby Allison has his work cut out for him, trying to catch Darrell Waltrip, not only to win the race, but to try and pick up the lead in the national championship, a battle that these two men have fought all year long. And remember that the engine in Waltrip's car is an unknown quantity. They had to change the engine just before the start of the race, but it's certainly doing its job now for Darrell Waltrip. We've got a problem on the main straightaway. A problem, the blue smoke. engine completely gone away. It blew apart on the main straightaway, throwing parts and oil all over the racetrack. The yellow flag is out. But what a disappointment for Tim Richmond. He was in third place. He climbs out of the car and waves to his fans. Tim Richmond. But this, of course, could be the equalizer for Bobby Allison. The yellow flag is out. Bobby can close up. And Darrell Waltrip heads down into the pits. Junior Johnson and the crew are ready. They mark the spot where they want Gerald to roll to a stop. Let's go down. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, the race comes down to the pits now for the final lap. Darrell Waltrip's crew going to work still again this afternoon at Charlotte. The indication that they'll be making tire changes all the way around. They're going to go for fresh rubber on all four wheels, which will give him the advantage. In that respect, we don't know if Allison will be making a similar change or not, as he has also come into the pits. The right side change has been complete. Now the left side rubber comes off. The fresh rubber goes on. Waltrip sitting there as he gets his windshield clean. The air wrenches nuts down, and then in a cloud of smoke, he's back off pit road and headed for the racetrack.
And while Darrell Waltrip was into the pits, Bobby Allison also came in. Allison got out just ahead of Waltrip, so Allison moves out in first place, and Waltrip will fall in behind in second. So with the pit stops under the yellow for Tim Richmond's blown engine, the lead changes once again with Bobby Allison first and Darrell Waltrip in second place. The two cars side by side on the racetrack. And while the yellow flag flies, Gary Gerald is trying to work his way over to Tim Richmond, who suffered a blown engine in his number 37. But after a terrific ride here today, he really pushed that car and did a magnificent job. Young Tim Richmond also vying for one of the Young Lions titles available here today. Now Gary's with Tim. Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
There are moments of disappointment, of course, in every race driver's career, and I know you've had some, but I don't know if there have been any probably that hurt as much as this moment right now.
It does hurt. There's no doubt about it, but, you know, at least we showed we could run up front again today, and I just don't have no luck. That's all I can say about it, but, you know, we can't let this stop us. We'll just go back and get another motor and go to the next race in 2 weeks and try to do the same thing except try to win it and finish the race, too.
Well, you come right down to the tail end, and you run as strong. You ran with the leaders almost all day long. There in the late going, looked like you fell off their pace just a little bit. Any particular problem?
Well, we put a brand new set of tires all the way around on the car, and the thing just had a little bit too much push than what we wanted. And we just couldn't stay with them, but, you know, we were still in the third spot running. And if we would have had another caution, maybe put on another set, we could maybe run with Darrell and Bobby to the finish. But I guess it don't matter now since we got all the parts laying on the ground.
Well, Tim, it's one of those days, and it's tough to find words. I know. We thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Gary, while you were talking with Tim Richmond, Bobby Allison brought number 28 into the pits once again. But since that time, the crew has focused their attention on the right front of the race car. And Gary, what started to be a big battle for the lead has now disappeared as Bobby Allison's still in the pits, trying to get over there and find out what went wrong. Bobby Allison in for a stop has now given the lead up completely. He is one lap now behind Darrell Waltrip as he heads out of the pits. So Waltrip in first place with a full lap advantage on Bobby Allison, who now heads back to competition. Terrible, terrible disappointment for Allison and for his crew. Gary, if you have the story, go ahead.
Mary, I understand the problem was the lug nut up there in the right front. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, it just simply, spun in the socket, and the impact wrench wouldn't bring it off. That's just, we had to use a 12-point socket to get it off, and it just cost us another stop.
Well, you're down now a lap to the leader, and in the final stages, it looks like that the Lady Fortune or Dame Luck or whatever is just not running with you guys in the last weeks of this championship chase.
Well, it seems like it's not. Maybe we had our good luck in the front part of the season. Maybe we'll do it again next year.
Thank you.
Well, the luck of Darrell Waltrip holds. He leads the Charlotte 500, and we'll be right back for the finish. 500, Darrell Waltrip has a full lap lead. The battle is for second place between Bobby Allison and Ricky Rudd. And while it's easy for Waltrip at this moment, it's tense for his wife, Stevie.
Stevie, you're keeping track of the final laps. Does it ever get any easier? I know you've been through it many times, and there have been a lot of wins, but does it ever get any easier?
I really don't think it does, although I have a lot of confidence in this crew and the car. Since we've been on the Mountain Dew team, that, you know, you can't feel anything but confidence, but still I get awfully excited and awfully nervous. Darrell and I want to win this race and all the races in the series.
until the checkered flag flies. Darrell Waltrip and his wife, Stevie, both know that. But it seems at this moment that he can almost cruise to a victory. Here comes the battle for second place. Ricky Rudd at number 88 trying to hold off Bobby Allison. Waltrip lets them move on by. He doesn't want any trouble at this moment. And it's Allison pulling low on Ricky Rudd. Rudd and Allison come down across the stripe. All Waltrip has to do is watch and be careful. They have 2 laps, just under 3 miles to go. Waltrip out in front by a full lap. The battle for second place. Ricky Rudd wrecked his primary car a week ago, and he's in his backup car. An unknown quantity for Rudd, but proving itself as he forges ahead on the backstretch. Bobby Allison heaves number 28 down low in the groove. Rudd sliding just a bit up high. The battle for second place. Darrell Waltrip has it all but wrapped up now as Bobby Allison pushes ahead, and then Rudd comes back with a charge. It's Ricky Rudd with 1 lap to go in second place. And Darrell Waltrip eases back on the throttle. He can coast to a finish now. He doesn't want any problems with less than 1.5 miles to go. A 500 hard-fought miles for Darrell Waltrip. But Ricky Rudd at number 88 now leading Bobby Allison. This is the position that Allison certainly wants. He wants to sit in third place so he can try and slingshot to the finish. Here's Darrell Waltrip. 2 turns to go. Now cruising through the 4th turn and points for the main straightaway. The battle continues for second. Darrell Waltrip heads for the checkered flag. And Darrell Waltrip wins the Charlotte 500. Now, watching for that battle for second place as Waltrip and his team already beginning to celebrate. Watching now for second, though. Second place is the story. Bobby Allison alongside Ricky Rudd. Allison pours on the power. It's the last turn, the last chance for Allison. Allison ahead by a bumper. As Rudd drops behind, tries to pick up the draft, tries it down low. Rudd drops the wheel off, but it's Allison that finishes in second. Ricky Rudd comes home in third place. A tremendous finish, the unofficial finish. Waltrip, Allison, Rudd third, Tommy Ellis fourth, and Ronnie Bouchard in fifth. And there's Darrell Waltrip as he's picked up some hitchhikers, the members of his crew, and he heads toward Victory Circle. We'll join Gary Gerald there in just a moment. There's second and third place. Allison in second, Ricky Rudd in third as they coast to a stop. Well, the celebration has begun in Victory Circle. Let's join Gary.
Way to go, Darrell.
Well, Darrell, this has become a very familiar scene. That streak, the amazing streak, continues, and I know it's got to be just a constant source of elation to you and your crew.
Well, dadgum, we drove hard today, and the car really run well. The Mountain Dew crew did a super good job for me, and you know, this morning I was a little bit worried. We put a brand new engine in the car and changed the gear and did a whole bunch of stuff, and that's just how well prepared we are. We took an engine out of the truck, had been in there since July, and won a race with it.
And it's also a brand new race car that was being tested for the first time.
It's a brand new race car, and I just, you know, I'd really like to thank the good Lord for seeing me through this race and seeing me on my way to a championship, I hope.
There's a lovely lady here that I know is awful happy, too, with all of this that's going on. The congratulatory kiss from wife Stevie. Darrell, this is the first win at Charlotte. I know you've been after this one for a long time.
Well, it's the first time I've ever won the National 500, and I've won a couple of World 600s, but this looms as probably the biggest race of the year right now.
Well, that amazing streak continues, and I imagine a lot of the other folks in the competition are wondering what in the world we're going to do to cool off this combination of Waltrip and Johnson.
Well, early in the race, you know, we got outrun a little bit, but Junior's on the radio saying, well, this time I'll turn you loose, and he took the blinders off, let the reins loose, and we went racing, and it's just a tribute to my entire team. I never can say enough about them. I'm afraid I'm not going to mention them all. Harold and Tim and Ed and all the guys do such a great job. And, of course, we have one of the best sponsors in racing, not one of the best sponsors in racing, Mountain Dew.
All right. There's Darrell Waltrip, and our congratulations from NBC, Darrell. It's a super job once again. Let's go back up for the final rundown with Paul Page.
Well, thank you, Gary. It's official now. Darrell Waltrip has won his first National 500 at Charlotte and continues his point lead in the National Driving Championship. Bobby Allison second, Ricky Rudd third, Tommy Ellis in 4th place, and Ronnie Bouchard came home in 5th place. An unusual Grand National stock car race, many of the big names falling out along the way, and a day of luck. Bad luck for Bobby Allison, good luck for Darrell Waltrip as he wins his first Charlotte 500 for Grand National Cars. I'm Paul Page for Gary Gerald. So long.